Hi everyone, here's some of what's heading your way tonight. To your news at 9, the McDonald County, Missouri Sheriff's Office identifies the body of a woman dubbed Grace Doe in a 30-year cold case.
A ruling is reversed in a tax liability case involving Gene Bicknell in southeast Kansas. I'm Chris Warner with what changed and how Bicknell feels.
President Biden unveiling his more than $2 trillion infrastructure plan. I'm Hillary Vaughn in Pittsburgh. I'll have a closer look at the proposal.
Doug Eddy has weather. Jacob Leonard has sports. This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jordan AUBEY. Authorities in McDonald County, Missouri make a breakthrough in a cold case. For 30 years, investigators worked off this rendering as they tried to identify a woman only known as Grace Doe. Investigators had been referring to her as Grace as they tried to uncover her identity because they thought only through the grace of God would they figure out who she was. Well, now, DNA evidence has revealed who she really is. Shauna Beth Garber. Garber was found dead in 1990 on Oscar Telly Road in McDonald County. DNA also found Shauna's half-sister who aided law enforcement in their investigation. She had been looking for her half-sister for 28 years. But Lieutenant Hall with McDonald County Sheriff's Office says the case is far from closed.
Trying to backtrack who Shauna was, foster parents, trying to get information on who she may have lived with in Kansas when she was, or what school she went to.
Lieutenant also says the investigators who are part of that investigation are happy to have part of the 30-year mystery solved and excited to move the investigation into its next phase. And that next phase involves officials finding out who killed her. During the initial investigation, a coroner wrote that Gerber had been strangled and raped 2 months before her body was found. A warning, we're about to show an image that some viewers might find graphic. Authorities say she was tied up using 6 types of bindings: nylon rope, coaxial and telephone cables, paracord, and clothesline. Sheriff's Office says investigators determined that the paracord was military grade and was exclusively sold to the military back in the 1990s. Authorities say now they're going to work to trace Shauna's steps. Of course, if you have any information, you should contact the McDonald County Sheriff's Office. Former Miami, Oklahoma Chamber of Commerce employee gets a 7-year suspended sentence for embezzlement. Brandy Smith will serve 90 days in jail and 250 hours of community service for stealing nearly $100,000 when she was vice president of operations at the chamber. Authorities say Smith knowingly booked hotel rooms for personal use with the chamber credit card, also paid herself extra money on top of her regular salary. Doug Eddy joining us now with the first look at the forecast. Getting cold out there, I guess.
It is. At least we had the sunshine today. It was still chilly across the region. We started at 40-56 for a high. Average high is 65 degrees, but it is going to cool down tonight. That's why we got freeze warnings in effect until 9 o'clock in the morning. This is really Missouri, Arkansas, Oklahoma, and then a sliver of southeastern Kansas. Pretty much clear skies. A few little random clouds have been rotating through, but not too much going on. So it's going to be quiet tonight. It's just going to be on the cold side. Most of us are sitting 45 to about 47 degrees. We have these kind of light northerly winds, and once these diminish near calm with the clear skies, of course, our temperature is going to take a drop. 28 in the morning, so pretty good freeze, and then very similar to today, mostly sunny, high temp at 55. We're going to look into the holiday weekend here in just a bit.
Doug, thanks as always. A multi-million-dollar tax settlement involving Pittsburgh native and entrepreneur Gene Bicknell has been overturned by the Kansas Court of Appeals, but Bicknell says the battle isn't over. KOAM's Chris Warner reports.
In a 2-3 decision, the court ruled that the District Court of Crawford County improperly put the burden of proving that Bicknell lived in Kansas on the Kansas Department of Revenue. His legal fight with the state centered on whether he lived in Kansas or Florida when he sold his company, NPC International, in 2006. The state argued Bicknell lived in Kansas and therefore owed state income tax. Bicknell paid $48 million in taxes, interest, and penalties.
And he's a big factor, you know. A state that's broke by a governor that was taking businesses off the tax rolls and not replacing the revenue, and they put Kansas in a financial strait.
In 2019, the District Court of Crawford County ordered the state to return the money to Bicknell, which the state appealed.
the appellate court allowed them to not pay me that money until they had a chance to appeal. That was totally against the law, in my opinion, because once I won the case, that freed me from having to have a bond up, because now I'm the one that's right.
That decision was ultimately reversed earlier this month by the Kansas Court of Appeals. Bicknell held a press conference Wednesday to address the issue, saying that this situation is clearly extortion.
If they get away with this, if they take it up there, it's going to be the most cruel thing the state of Kansas has done in a long time. So, no, this is wrong. This is dead wrong.
The Court of Appeals determined that the District Court of Crawford County was wrong to determine that Crawford County was the proper venue for the trial and improperly shifted the burden of proving Bicknell's residency onto the Department of Revenue. Because of that, the appeals court has ordered a new trial be set and to take place in Shawnee County, Kansas. Bicknell says he has his concerns.
I love the people of Kansas. I'm not trustful of the courts of Kansas, so therefore I don't expect much. I just hope that there's somebody that's got some integrity in the court system that will look at this case on a real basis and rule in the right way.
We reached out to the Kansas Department of Revenue for comment. However, they declined our request, stating they don't comment on pending litigation. Reporting in Pittsburgh, Chris Warner, KOAM News.
We have links to the full news conference as well as the Court of Appeals decision on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. More promising news on the vaccine front as Pfizer releases data from its Phase 3 trial in children. This coming as the CDC issues a warning about COVID-19 variants. Fox News correspondent Jonathan SERRIE has more.
The U.S. is another step closer to reaching herd immunity against COVID-19. Pfizer reports its vaccine is 100% effective in protecting children ages 12 through 15 against the virus. The formula also produced a strong antibody response in the Phase 3 trial. The drug maker says it will soon submit the data to the FDA in hopes of expanding its emergency use authorization to other age groups.
The more people we vaccinate, the more we're going to protect someone out there who can't get the vaccine.
A vaccine for children could remove an obstacle for family travel. Hawaii is working toward a vaccine passport for travelers to show coming in and out of the state. Last week, New York became the first state to launch a similar passport for entering certain venues. But some health experts warn the idea faces challenges.
There are inequities within society. We need to be cognizant that some may not be able to get on the train in the same way that that some of the rest of us can.
The pressure to vaccinate more Americans comes as COVID-19 variants continue to spread. The CDC says the UK variant now accounts for about 26% of new infections in the U.S. Today, federal officials pleaded with governors to keep mitigation efforts in place.
We need a simple thing of every governor, mayor, and local leader, and that is to heed what the president is asking in return. Simply to maintain or to reinstate mask mandates.
The CDC says more than 53 million Americans have now been fully vaccinated against the virus. In Atlanta, Jonathan SERRIE, Fox News.
And that brings us to tonight's KOAM News Unlisted poll. We want to know, based on Pfizer's decision and findings, would you get your child vaccinated for COVID-19? This poll is close, as you can see. You can participate in the poll at KOAMnewsnow.com/vote or with the KOAM News Now mobile app. Results are updated live, and we'll check in on them a bit later. President Biden traveling to Pittsburgh with an H, unveiling his $2 trillion infrastructure plan. The president calls it a once-in-a-century investment and believes it's going to create millions of good-paying jobs. Critics, however, of the administration are skeptical and want to know more about what exactly will be in his plan and how it will be paid for. Fox Business correspondent Hillary Vaughn reporting now from Pittsburgh.
It's big, yes. It's bold, yes. And we can get it done.
President Biden addressing the country about his new infrastructure proposal. The president's plan would cost more than $2 trillion over the coming decade.
It's not a plan that tinkers around the edges. It's a once-in-a-generation investment in America.
On the spending list, the administration intends to allocate more than $600 billion for bridges, roads, and airports, $300 billion to revive American manufacturing, and $400 billion in clean energy credits.
Right? Democrats and Republicans all agree that we've got to do something about infrastructure. So I think it's pretty clear that this is a real opportunity for us to come together as a country behind something and stop punting and losing this competition to China.
One way President Biden plans to pay for this massive spending package will be to raise the corporate tax rate from 21% to 28%. But Republicans are wary of the plan.
This has been an administration of the government, by the government, for the government. The only thing it appears they're in favor of is more government spending, more taxes, and more government power over your lives.
Next month, the White House will roll out its second part of its recovery plan with a focus on child care and education. In Pittsburgh, Hillary Vaughn, Fox Business.
KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14 takes this time now to honor one of our 4 state heroes. Marcus Philpott has served in the U.S. Army, spending time in Afghanistan, also Iraq. We are proud to thank and salute Marcus Philpott, a native of Webb City, Missouri. He's tonight's 4-state hero. Doug Heddy's up next with a complete look at the forecast, and later, Missouri Southern standout Cam Martin heading into the Big 12 to play for the Kansas Jayhawks. Gonna have that story in sports.
Well, it turned out to be a chilly day for us today, but at least we got the sunshine back for us today. So it didn't feel too bad, and of course we are wrapping up the month of March. That means we will have the month-long forecast tomorrow night at 9 and 10. But looking back at March, about 3/4 of the month, temperatures were at or above normal for this time of the year. So pretty good, really not that bad, and we're going to really warm up over the next couple days. Great time-lapse Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. Of course, Indigo is just outside of Seneca, Missouri. Those clear skies. Allergies have been high. On a scale of 1 to 10, today's a 10. Tomorrow also is going to be a 10. Until we get a nice widespread rain to kind of wash out the atmosphere, we're going to continue to have the allergies on the higher side. Let's go ahead and zoom in. You can see our high temps, most of us mid-50s, and I think we're going to be very similar tomorrow, maybe a notch or 2 warmer. And now we had dropped back just a bit, anywhere from 43 in Iola, 49 Independence, Parsons 46, much of the same in Pitt, Miami, Neosho 45. And Lamar, but we aren't alone. Everybody across the Central Plains kind of cool. This is the part of the pattern that we got the mid-February Arctic blast. So this has returned. This is just the early spring version of it. So it's colder, but at least we're not getting the Arctic air in place like we did about 6 weeks ago. But freeze warnings in effect for us tonight on the Missouri side, Arkansas, Oklahoma side, and then a sliver of southeastern Kansas. And pretty much clear skies, a few little mid-level clouds rotating through, but this whole storm system is heading away from us. And if we look out toward the west, there's not much going on. That's our weather over the next several days. By the time we get into next week, that's when we get some bigger storm systems in here. You can see all the systems kind of spinning out across the Gulf of Alaska, and those will start to affect us by next week. So let's go ahead, zoom in for you tonight. I think most of us upper 20. So it is going to be cold. We'll have clear skies across the region. The winds are going to be light. We should warm to near 50 by noon. During the afternoon, plenty of sunshine again as we go into the mid-50s for highs. Tomorrow night, still, we could have a little bit of frost across the region as we slide back to about 32 or 33 degrees. And then Friday looks a little bit better as we go into lower 60s for highs. So we're going to see that warming trend over the next few days. If you do want to get outside, get some fresh air tomorrow after a cold start, the afternoon looks pretty good as we go up to about 55-ish during the afternoon. We go well into the 60s on Saturday. Let's go to Easter Sunday. We do have a weak little wave. This could give us maybe a random shower or two, but in general, I think Easter Sunday looks pretty good. We'll start at 50, 65 by noon. Look at our high temp, 70 degrees on Easter Sunday afternoon, so you can't beat that. All right, cold tonight, 28, 55 tomorrow, 33 tomorrow night, 63 Friday, 66 Saturday, 80 by next Tuesday.
Isn't that something? Allergies, are they still bad?
Yeah, they're real bad right now. I've been fighting them the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, me too. My contacts today, cloudy. I'm like, Doug Heddy, is that you? Is that you, Doug Heddy?
That may just be your age, but
I think you're right. actually. All right, we'll see you a little bit. Thanks so much, Doug. All right, coming up, an EMT who says she was prevented from helping George Floyd.
More eyewitness testimony on day 3 of the Derek Chauvin trial. He's the former Minneapolis police officer accused of killing George Floyd. I'm Jeff Paul, Minneapolis. I've got the details coming up.
We meet.
Prosecutors are pushing hard on day 3 of the George Floyd murder trial, trying to convince the jury that former police officer Derek Chauvin is directly responsible for Floyd's death. Fox News correspondent Jeff Paul has more now from Minneapolis.
A third day of emotional testimony in the trial of the former police officer accused of killing George Floyd. Derek Chauvin is charged with second-degree and third-degree murder and manslaughter. Prosecutors pushing their case that Chauvin used excessive and unnecessary force, which led to Floyd's death. On Wednesday morning, more eyewitnesses called to the stand, including a clerk at the store Floyd visited just before his death, where he allegedly paid for cigarettes with a fake $20 bill.
They kind of took him a little long to get to what he was trying to say, so it would appear that he was high.
So you just had some signs that you thought he was under the influence of something?
Yes.
The day began with more testimony from a Minneapolis EMT who says Chauvin prevented her from helping Floyd when he stopped breathing. Genevieve Hansen returned to the stand after breaking down in tears on Tuesday, recalling her efforts to save his life.
When you couldn't do that, how did that make you feel?
Totally distressed.
Were you frustrated?
Yes.
Security here at the courthouse remains tight as the trial continues. Most activists say they're watching closely. The verdict will say a lot about whether the justice system has changed in the past year.
This is a test for American justice, I believe, because people are beyond fed up.
The trial is expected to last for about a month. Chauvin is facing up to 40 years in prison if convicted of second-degree murder. In Minneapolis, Jeff Paul, Fox News.
Just ahead, trying to prevent future pandemics.
The World Health Organization is calling for a global treaty to help combat any future pandemics, but the U.S. isn't joining. I'm Marianne Rafferty with the response from the White House, coming up.
The World Health Organization believes the best way to fight future pandemics is together, asking nations to join forces, sign a pandemic treaty. Fox News correspondent Marianne Rafferty has more, though, on why the U.S. is refusing to be a part of such plan.
No country, no continent can defeat a pandemic alone.
COVID-19 has affected the entire globe. Now more than a year in, and the World Health Organization is calling for a pandemic treaty, proposing the international community share medical and scientific resources to help respond to any future health crisis.
Our main goal is to foster a comprehensive approach to better predict, prevent, and respond to pandemics, to strengthen global capacities and resilience, to ensure fair access to medical solutions.
So far, at least 20 leaders from several European, African, and Asian countries have signed the treaty, but the U.S. is not on board.
The report lacks crucial data, information, and access. It represents a partial and incomplete picture.
The Biden administration says it believes in cooperating with other countries, but claims the treaty has too many holes, calling the proposal well-intentioned but rushed. Officials say the World Health Organization owes the American people a more concise explanation about its intentions.
They deserve better information. They deserve steps that are taken by the global community to provide that.
China has also decided not to sign the treaty as the White House continues its calls for an independent review of the document. Marianne Rafferty, Fox News.
Coming up, pretty interesting here, okay? There's a new list of the most popular cocktails by state during the pandemic. Going to see what the 4 states likes, what the 4 states fancies after this break.
4 states.
People were no doubt mixing up more cocktails at home when the pandemic prompted the shutdown of bars and restaurants last year. But the travel rewards company Upgraded Points wanted to see which ones were most popular in each state. So you guys ready? All right. Wine coolers were most popular in Kansas. In Missouri, the Show Me State, it was margaritas. Over in Oklahoma, it was Bellinis. Company used Google Trends data from March of 2020 to March of 2021 to see which ones people were looking up the instructions for. Obviously, hopefully, responsibly, right? Interesting though. Kind of like that candy story we were doing about the which states prefer the different types of candy. All right. I'm done talking about drinks. Come on, guys. Done talking about drinks. 30 more minutes. News, weather, and sports coming your way.
Pfizer announces their coronavirus vaccine is safe and effective for kids as young as 12 years old. I'm Zach Dodge with what a few parents think of that. Coming up.
Another violent attack against the Asian American community sparking national outrage. I'm Kevin Cork with details on the hate crime and why bystanders are being blamed for not rushing in to help.
Told you earlier about how Pfizer announced their coronavirus vaccine is safe, highly protective in kids as young as 12 years old. Well, KOAM Zach Dodge has what area parents think of the news and if they would have their kiddos get the vaccine.
I think this is great, and I'm glad that Pfizer is looking at this age group.
Safe and effective in kids as young as 12 years old. That's what Pfizer is saying they've seen so far in a study for their coronavirus vaccine. In a study of roughly 2,000 12 to 15-year-olds, none of the volunteers who were given the vaccine contracted COVID-19. 18 who were in the placebo group did. Researchers also say those who were given the vaccine had a high level of virus-fighting antibodies. Dr. Eden ESGUERRA at Mercy Hospital says she's encouraged by the news.
If we are going to achieve herd immunity, this age group is very, very important.
Joplin parent Tabitha Bailey Wilson agrees, saying her oldest son is only 10, but would schedule an appointment for him in a heartbeat.
He wants to be safe because his grandfather is sick and he wants to make sure he's safe and he won't give anything to his grandfather.
But Iola, Kansas parent Mickey Herrera says neither her or her kids will be getting the vaccine anytime soon.
I'm for vaccines. I do get my family the flu shot every year, but since this one's so new and I feel like it came out as such a rush and I've seen, there are some side effects, it makes me leery in that way.
Dr. ESGUERRA wants to stress the fact that these are preliminary findings, so everyone from Pfizer to the FDA will put the data under a microscope before any kids in the public get the vaccine.
When the data says that they're safe, if I have young kids, that age group, I will be the first one in line to use it on them.
In Joplin, Zach Dodge, KOAM News.
So in tonight's KOAM News poll, we wanted to know, based on Pfizer's findings, will you get your teen vaccinated for COVID-19? This one is still close, as you can tell. 54% of you say, yes, I would, I will. 46% of you say, no, I'm not going to. We're going to have the final results on the poll a little bit later, KOAM News at 10. Asian American advocates say enough is enough after yet another violent hate crime in New York City leaves an elderly woman hospitalized with severe injuries. Fox News correspondent Kevin Cork reports.
We don't want your thoughts and prayers anymore. We demand action.
Disgust, anger, and horror in New York City after police there reveal new surveillance footage capturing the violent assault of an Asian American woman near Times Square Monday. Caution, what you're about to see is shocking. The attacker seen knocking the woman to the ground before repeatedly kicking her in the face while screaming racist slurs. He then walks away as workers in the building, watching the violence unfold, appear to close the door on the 65-year-old victim. Union reps for the workers claim they did call for help, but activists are criticizing their inability to intervene.
We're standing in front of this building that pretty much closed their door on a woman lying on the sidewalk. Isn't that the perfect symbolism of exactly what is happening right now?
Officials echoing those cries, saying bystanders contribute to the growing issue.
I don't care who you are. I don't care what you do. You've got to help.
This attack is one of many in recent months as the country continues seeing a dramatic rise in hate crimes directed toward the Asian American community as more rallies pop up coast to coast demanding peace. Police say the New York City attacker is still at large. The victim was taken to the hospital where she's recovering after receiving treatment for a fractured pelvis and head wounds. I'm Kevin Cork, Fox News.
A bit later, a Pentagon rule reversal.
The Pentagon is announcing policy changes for members of the transgender community who want to serve in the military. I'm Ray Bogan with a look at the policy changes coming up.
Well, we got sunshine back for us today, but still kind of chilly. We only made it into the mid-50s for highs, but today is the last day of March. It was kind of chilly heading into the month, kind of chilly leaving the month, but most of the month actually ended up pretty good. Great time-lapse Indigo Sky Casino and Resort, of course, Indigo just outside of Seneca, Missouri, but you can see pretty much crystal clear blue skies throughout the day, just a few evening clouds that have popped up. Allergies are high on a scale of 1 to 10. Today's a 10, tomorrow's a 10. Again, they're going to stay this way over the next several days. Zooming in, most of us did go into the mid-40s, but we have been dropping back over the past few hours. So we're now 45, 46, 47 degrees or so. But eventually, we're going to drop quite a bit farther than that. But you can see we aren't alone. The entire Central Plains is cold. This is the part of the pattern that gave us the Arctic blast way back in the middle of February. This part of the pattern has repeated. Now, thankfully, this time it's not Arctic air, but it is kind of cold for this time of the year, so that's why we got freeze warnings in effect. Sliver of Kansas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and then also Missouri into the morning hours for us tomorrow. But we do have pretty much clear skies. A few little high-level clouds have been rotating through, but look at the Central Plains. Clear, look out to the west. Clear. This is our weather as we head through the next several days. And then we'll tap into all these storm systems starting to line up out across the Gulf of Alaska. Those will start to affect us by the time we head into early next week. Now, until then, we look okay. It is going to be cold tonight, so watch any tender vegetation that you do have. Everything's kind of blooming right now. Thankfully, we'll only be at or below freezing for about 3 or 4 hours. Sunshine again for us tomorrow by noon, upper 40s to near 50. During the afternoon, I think we should go into the mid-50s. Tomorrow night, again, we could still see temperatures near freezing, or at least a frost. And then by the time Friday rolls around, sunny skies, we warm up more as we go into the mid-60s during the afternoon. So it looks pretty good. If you do want to get outside tomorrow, get some fresh air, the afternoon is the time to do it, especially after the noon hour as we climb into the 50s, maybe a notch or two warmer than what we did see today. Mid-60s by Saturday, and then we can head into Easter Sunday. We do have a weak little wave that is going to pass through. There's a very slight chance there could be a shower, but I do think most of us will end up staying dry. But look at our temperature, 65 by noon, high temp, right around 70 during the afternoon. Still, slight chance for a few showers or thunder showers on Monday, Tuesday, but better chances by the time Wednesday night, and into Thursday roll around. That's going to be our next shot that we could see some severe weather across the four-state area. But not any for a week. 55 tomorrow, 33 tomorrow night, 63 on Friday, 70 on Easter Sunday, up to 80 by Tuesday.
Seems the colder weather is trying so hard to hold on. I don't want it, though.
Now, I'm ready for 70s all the way out.
Me too, man. All right, Doug Heddy, thanks so much. Coming up in sports, the LABETTE women aim to knock off the #1 team in the country. Plus, Missouri Southern's Cam Newton heading to the Big 12. Jacob Leonard has that story next.
Missouri Southern's Cam Martin has found a new home. The Lions' second all-time leading scorer commits today to transfer to KU to finish out his final year in the college game. Bill Self sealed the deal to get Cam Martin to Lawrence.
We had a great conversation Monday night. He talked with me, and then he talked with my family. We set up a Zoom call for Tuesday, and the rest is history.
The All-American will play his final college season for Self and the Kansas Jayhawks.
I'm happy with the role me and him talked about. Nothing's set in stone. I mean, I still got to go there this summer. I got to get better.
He'll play for one of the best coaches in the country and one of the best venues in the country.
I've never been to Allen Fieldhouse. I've heard great things. Everybody I've talked to has said it's one of the best places to play, if not the best. I've seen some YouTube videos today. I watched some people send to me, just the fans and stuff. But I'm super excited to be able to experience that.
Missouri Southern head coach Jeff Boschee is a former Jayhawk himself.
I asked him a few questions. He answered them. I asked one of the questions I asked, I was like, do you think I'm good enough? I knew I was good enough in my mind, but I wanted to hear his side of it. and he told me he thought I was. He was very excited for me, and he thought it would be a good situation for me.
Martin knows it's a jump from the MIAA to the Big 12, but he's ready to put in the work with the idea of continuing his basketball career after college.
There's been a lot of great Kansas basketball players play for that program, and I think if I go there and do the things I think I'm capable of doing, then my future can be very bright.
Martin scored more than 2,000 points in just 3 seasons at Missouri Southern. He's one of only 5 active players in all of college basketball to have at least 2,000 points and 800 rebounds. Moving on out of college softball, Pitt State with a non-conference doubleheader against SBU. Scoreless in the 5th inning. Gorillas get to work with 2 outs. Pitch gets by the catcher, Taylor Lambert on third. Beats a throw there, slides home. Pitt State strikes first. In the same inning, Katie Kukowski pops it up. 2 errors on the play. Audrey Miller takes off and scores. Gorillas now up 2. SBU in the 7th here, game-tying run on second. Riverton product Taylor Compton strikes out the final batter. Her 7th of the day. Gorillas take game 1 2-1. In game 2, Pitt State gets the bats going to win big 11-2. Now from here on out, all conference games for Pitt State. The Gorillas close out the regular season with 18 straight against MIAA opponents. The Labette women's basketball team is ranked number 7 in the nation in the latest poll released on Monday. The Cards suffered their first loss of the season on Saturday, falling to 4th-ranked KCK 77-70. Now tonight, Labette has a chance to bounce back in a big way to host the number 1 team in the nation in Johnson County. Nia Jordan goes for 3, knocks it down. Team high 16 points for Jordan. Other way now to Asia Collier-Williams. Nice moves here. Nyan Coing finishes it off with the layup. Then Maya Robinson, big second half. She gets the layup to drop. Now, Aria Powell later, she'll do it herself. 2 more. 6-point lead here for the Cardinals with 5 to play, but that's the last bucket they score. Labette falls to Johnson County tonight, 64-58.
Well, like you said, it was back and forth. You know, one team would make a mistake, the other one would capitalize, and you know, it just kind of worked out that we made more mistakes down the stretch. It put them in a good position to win, and you know, another 2 minutes, and who knows what the score could have been.
Finally, today's a big day for a few Webb City High School seniors. 3 student athletes signed today to continue their careers in college. Rachel Drum and Danica Heffron staying teammates to play tennis at Evangel. Eli Goddard is headed to Missouri Southern. Goddard signs today to play baseball for Bryce Darnell and the Lions.
It's almost surreal. Like I've known I want to play college baseball for a while, and having the opportunity to do that's real special. I'm grateful.
It's just a huge accomplishment. I've only been playing tennis for about 2 years, and I've worked really hard to be able to do this.
Yes, that was also part of the reason why I chose it, was because it was far enough from home, but it was also close enough to where I could come home.
That's a look at sports. We're back with more news after this.
It's been 2 months since President Biden signed an executive order repealing the ban on transgender people serving openly in the military. The ban had been put into effect by former President Trump. Well, now the Pentagon says it's officially making the change with new rules going into effect in 30 days. Fox News correspondent Ray Bogan has more on the shift in policy.
This is the right thing to do. It is also the smart thing to do.
The Pentagon says anyone who is transgender and meets military standards can soon serve in the military.
Secretary of Defense strongly believes that the all-volunteer force thrives when it is composed of diverse Americans who can meet the high standards for military service.
The rule change comes just over 2 months after President Biden signed an executive order overturning Trump-era policies and banning discrimination based on gender identity.
What I'm doing is enabling all qualified Americans to serve their country in uniform and essentially restoring the situation that existed before with transgender personnel, if qualified in every other way, can serve our government in the United States military.
The announcement came as President Biden issued the first presidential proclamation recognizing International Transgender Day of Visibility, saying Their trailblazing work has given countless transgender individuals the bravery to live openly and authentically. In his confirmation hearing in January, Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin supported the changes, telling lawmakers eligibility for service members should not depend on gender.
If you're fit and you're qualified to serve and you can maintain the standards, you should be allowed to serve.
Secretary Austin has also called for review of service records to look at members who were either discharged or denied reenlistment because of their gender identity. Ray Bogan, Fox News.
When we come back, going to check out a new wildlife documentary right here on Fox, Malika, the Lion Queen. Fox goes into the wildlife documentary realm this Sunday, April 4th, with a special Malika, the Lion Queen. Entertaining and educational adventure for the whole family, narrated by Angela Bassett, who joins us for a preview. Here's Fox's Ashley DVORKIN.
My name is Malika.
Fox's wildlife documentary, Malika the Lion Queen, is based on the lionesses of South Africa's Kruger National Park. The story is narrated by Golden Globe winner and star of Fox's 911, Angela Bassett.
Everybody loves a female empowerment story. And this one, of course, is jumping across species. And we all grew up with the Lion King, in our psyche, in our purview. But I wonder how many people know for sure that it really is the female of that breed that protects and hunts, and it really is the leader of that pride.
Executive producer Tom Hugh Jones says they filmed many months to capture this incredible footage.
Shout out the team and the enormous hard work that they spent following these lions. A lot of what lions do is both in the day and the night, so we literally followed them 24/7, and it was a real labor of love.
Both feel a lot can be learned from Malika's journey.
Every cub has many, many aunties and mothers. They help to rear and to raise and to grow them into their potential. And I hope that we can glean some of that for ourselves, that every child's potentially is our own, and we should want the best for them.
One of the lines of commentary says there's actually only 30,000 lions left in Africa, which isn't very many. So my real hope is people get passionate about these extraordinary animals and learn a bit more and try and do something to help their plight.
Malika the Lion Queen airs Sunday on Fox, then streams on Tubi April 18th. In Hollywood, Ashley DVORKIN, Fox News.
Looks pretty good. That's our time for tonight. Thanks so much for joining us. Going to leave you with video of a kayaker going down a mountain right there into a river in Chile. Be safe. Unlike this guy. Do this all again tomorrow. See you then.